Hello, Reliving the Extreme listeners. Nate Maxon here. Real quick before the show starts, as we were recording the show this week, we got so caught up in everything we were talking about. There were a couple of plugs that we forgot to do, and we got to do some plugging on the show. I mean, we got to do it. It's the gimmick. Anyway, if you are not following the star of the show, Mr. Chad Austin, on Twitter, please do follow Chad at Chad Austin Demera on Twitter. And also wanted to bring up a friend of the show, Mr. Dave Dynasty, who is also a wrestling podcaster. I highly recommend checking out Dave's stuff. The website is very simple, davedynasty.com. Go check out Dave and his product as well. And now that I've gotten that out of the way, doing the plugging we wanted to do this week, let's get started with Reliving the Extreme. Hello, wrestling fans, and thank you for joining us once again as we are reliving the extreme. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you. Aaron's making me laugh. Nate Maxon, your host, here with you, along with my brother Aaron.
Hello, hello.
And ECW's own Mr. Chad Austin.
Howdy, and I think I'm reliving the extreme over here myself, and it's not even of all ECW.
It's been a day for Chad. It's been a day.
It's been a doozy.
It's been a doozy of a day. And we are glad that you have all joined us here once again. Now, this week, we're going to talk about the episode of ECW from October the 5th, 1993. We skipped the 21st of September and the 28th of September because, well, I called an audible. There wasn't a lot to see. Not a lot to see here, folks.
Okay, well, I just took your word on it, and I did it myself, too. I skipped it. So what did you see? There had to have been something on there that was newer, correct?
Because friends help friends, I went ahead and breezed through these episodes, so Aaron and Chad did not. On the September 21st episode, there was a match from friggin' weeks ago between Jimmy Snuka and the Metal Maniac. That was a doozy.
Oh, remember that one?
A lot of just
Neither
walking.
do I.
a lot of just walking around looking at each other. Joey Styles talked to, get this, Dr. Voorhees, the doctor for Sal Balomo, after Sal Balomo's chair shot at Ultra Clash from Rock
and Rebel.
Rock and Rebel, yes, sorry.
Why do I not know about this? I mean, no, not that I don't know about it. Why can I not remember this?
It's probably because selective memory, you had more important things to remember.
No,
that's what I'm thinking.
There's a story behind this. Why it was Dr. Voorhees?
What? Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I just thought Jason Voorhees. That's kind of what I thought. But
that could have been it. But that could, like I said, that could have been part of it. But I thought that I heard a story that it was some sort of a rib on somebody kind of thing. But it was just so minute back then. Like there's something behind it.
Right. Yeah.
Just by the name of it ain't Dr. fucking Jackson.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah.
Dr. J.
What Dr. J. What Dr. Voorhees told us was that Sal had to have jaw surgery and he has a detached retina because of a chair shot to the chest, it looked like. But anyway, and then Aaron would have loved
his retina out?
I guess so. That's a spicy meatball.
Damn.
You broke my face. Holy moly, you broke my face.
All the children. I can't see all the kids.
Aaron would have loved the last segment in the house talking to Public Enemy. Aaron, you would have just loved that.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Also, there was the debut of Maddie?
Yes, Maddie was also on this. And they just say it's Maddie in the house. They don't give you a big introduction to Maddie in the house or anything like that.
Refresh my memory before we really start this show. What was the background of Maddie? And don't ask me, don't be like, you worked there, you should know.
I heard he was like a bouncer. I heard he was a bouncer at one of the clubs Paulie went to, and he had like this boisterous personality, so Paulie just brought him on the show.
Yeah, charisma.
Yeah.
I wonder if he had any money.
Yeah.
He probably got Paulie in. Paulie probably didn't have to pay cover.
So if it wasn't financial, like dollar to dollar, there was probably some sort of exchange.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do this, you do that.
Something of some sort. Yeah.
I'm assuming. I don't know. I had no idea.
The September 28th show told us Sabu is coming, and his manager, Hunter Q. Robbins III, ? And Hunter Q does like a terrible English accent in this one. He's not doing this. Now he's doing this. Like he's Lord Alfred Hayes. They showed
he's like, he's not even like Lord Alfred P.S. Hayes.
No, he's Lord Alfred. He's Lord Alfred Robbins the Fourth. That's his name. Tony. They show the Tony Stetson versus Tommy Cairo match from Ultra Clash.
They had the audacity.
They had the audacity, and they also had the audacity to show us a match between Sal Balomo and the Canadian Wolfman.
Yeah. I mean,
so that happened.
It aired once, right? Because that's when he gave him that fucking killer mule drop, right? That
yes. And Wolfman just jiggled all over. It was
look at all the they just keep re-showing like Canadian Wolfman matches, like
it's to pay him for his ring.
Yeah.
And that show ended with a very long, drawn-out promo from Kevin Sullivan on the beach talking about Abdullah the Butcher. And nothing. He didn't really say anything. He just, spoke in Kevin Sullivan for 7 minutes.
He said, did he say a Buddha Dean?
I believe he did.
He was sent here from a Buddha Dean. What the fuck? Who is the Buddha Dean guy?
I live in Singapore.
Yeah. Yeah, what the fuck?
The Conch Republic.
It doesn't really get old to me, but he doesn't even do anything to freshen it up.
No,
you know
it's
what I mean?
Just the same shtick.
It's always, I drank the third eye.
I plucked the whisker from the Bengal tiger.
And drank the fears of the tears of the babies from the Sudan or whatever. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's the same bullshit. It's hilarious to me because it just never gets old, but he never really does anything to it's always a Buddha Dean.
Mm-hmm.
He's like looking for, do you guys skateboard? Did you guys use a skateboard?
Not me.
Oh,
no.
Well, the Pal Peralta guys made a video where they were looking for the skateboard god. His name was Animal Chin. And they never really, the whole entire movie was about them trying to find this Animal Chin guy. There should be like a A&E series where Kevin Sullivan's searching for a Buddha Dean.
One of the most surreal things ever is you watch that. What pay-per-view is it? Sullivan does that promo. I think it's a Halloween Havoc. Sullivan does that promo on Hogan, but he's sitting inside the cage and he's got like toys of Hogan and he's smacking it. And he's like, we got you some posies, but they died. And I mean, he
doesn't even say died. He said, Hogan,
expired.
We got you some posies, but they expired.
It's so surreal. And he's got like a little shovel and he's banging a Hulk Hogan.
And he stands on it. He then stands on his head and says, "No one ever said life was gonna be easy." He stands on his head.
I recently listened to another show, and they were doing a Smoky Mountain like recap or whatever. I think it was Between the Sheets. I'll give them a plug. I like that show.
Mm-hmm.
Yenta Bix. And and they played this Kevin Sullivan promo where he was at the psychiatrist thing or whatever. And afterwards, I think it may have been Bix that says, was Kevin Sullivan and Nancy known as big potheads back then? I don't know,
I remember that. That's when he's like talking about, he does some weird shit on Smoky Mountain.
He's got the shrink. He's got the shrink and he's drinking the medicine and I feel better already, Doc.
And then he does another one later on where he's Dutch Mantel's interviewing him, but he's like laying on the ground and he has a flashlight and he just has like a flashlight right underneath his chin and Dutch has a flashlight.
Oh, dude, I remember that. Yeah.
And then when Dutch talks, he turns on his flashlight and Kevin turns his off. And then when Kevin goes to talk, he turns his on and Dutch turns his off. It's fucking weird.
Marco.
Kevin Sullivan's funny to me because he's been so fucked up so long and he's had such high profile jobs that it's hard to believe that drugs were involved. But, you know what I'm saying? It's hard to believe that, but you watch this stuff and it's like, you cannot be sober.
Well, Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Bret Hart say in his book that he had to walk over Kevin Sullivan to get to the ring one night or something?
I don't know. That might have been Bret.
I mean, it's Bret. Yeah, it's Bret being Bret.
He had to what?
He said that he was like, the company was so fucked up and this, that, and the other thing that one night he had to go out to the ring and he said that Kevin Sullivan was like season out or whatever because he had been on something and had to like step over him to get out to the ring. I don't know if I wholeheartedly believe that, but
yeah, I don't know nothing about that. I just never drugs never crossed my mind about Kevin Sullivan because he's always had high profile jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't put a guy who's all fucked up like that in a position to run, you know,
right,
like he did. But anyway, yeah, enough about Kevin Sullivan.
Thanks for occupying the first 10 minutes of the show, Sully. Not Jay Sully, who we do not see on this episode at all. October 5th, 1993. Of note here, Joey Styles and Paulie Dangerously are our commentating team, and the NWA, or ECW, is now a member of the NWA. NWA Eastern Championship Wrestling.
Why? I don't understand why that was, you know, I don't know why that was such a sense of urgency to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't there have been at least a 2-week buildup of the NWA is back?
Right.
Why are we joining this, you know?
Well, yeah, no. Yeah, we just start, and there's Public Enemy in the ring. And I was going to ask you, Chad, if you knew anything about these other two cats they're in the ring with, the Silver Jet and Gino Caruso, because I don't.
I'm very familiar with Gino Caruso. I've forever worked on indies with him, and I always call him the Super Sack because I don't think he wears underwear underneath that singlet, and boy, he's got a sack. and Gino's a good guy. You know, he's just a great independent guy. You know. Mm-hmm. As far as I really, every time I see Gino, I have called him Super Sack to his face, so it's not like, you know, he'll punch me or anything. And the Silver Jet, I have my notes about this because I was gonna say I initially wrote, I don't know who he is, but the guy can bump, mm-hmm. and there's usually like a main reason why that Paulie put job guys under hoods. Why do you think that is?
Maybe because they were going to
get something out of him,
or they were going to wrestle later on.
Well, that way, if he got something out of him, he wasn't a jobber on TV.
They were probably somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote, "Oh my God, that could have been Dreamer."
Okay. Well, you know? and that's what when the match first started, I saw him and the let's be honest, the outfit was kind of, you know, cheap looking and etc. So I thought, well, this will be a doozy. And then, like you said, the guy could bump. He did pretty good. I didn't really have anything negative to say about him.
There was that was a red flag to me when the guy had a shirt on too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, sure, he was wearing generic camouflage pants and he had a mask on, but he had a shirt on too. So that was obviously for a reason. So it was somebody that was either slighted in for a better position or just somebody that Paulie liked and didn't want to kill. Right. You know, he was waiting to find a better spot for him. But I do remember back in the day hearing who the guy was, and I swear Tommy Dreamer is the guy that came in my mind. He's the one that popped in my mind, and I don't know why, because I didn't think he looked anything like Dreamer.
Right. Well, but like you kind of alluded to, he has enough clothing on where, you know, with the obviously the, you know, we're not talking about high definition cameras here, so with enough clothing on and all that, you know, you could hide the physique and hide the look. This match was a decent squash. Good way to establish. I mean, I know we already saw Public Enemy at Ultra Clash, but good way to establish them on TV here.
Well, you know, because we've talked about this before, how when they start changing the shows, that they don't have that black ring anymore.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have the Wolfman's ring. You know, the Wolfman's all paid in full. He made enough money. He made enough money wrestling. I don't know, whoever you said he just wrestled again. He made enough money working Belomo and residuals from the show airing that he got enough money to pay for the rental truck to come get the ring. And from what I remember, this whole setup was Ted Petty's. That ring was Ted Petty's. That cage was Ted Petty's. That was all his stuff.
And there's definitely a marked difference in the look. And like I said, I thought this was a decent squash. The only move that I wrote down, I guess, was Rocco had a good moonsault from the second rope during this match. I thought looked good. And they also mentioned during this match that next week we are going to see Bad Company come to the ECW. Pat Tanaka and Paul Diamond.
I actually thought they were going to say Bad Breed.
Yeah.
Because I was like, wait a minute, because this is the taping that I debuted on.
Okay.
I was on this taping, and it was Bad Breed was there too, and I don't remember seeing Tanaka and Diamond, unless I just don't remember seeing them. But when Joey Styles was building up about who they were going to see next week, I was like, no way, they're really going to put over Axel, and the other guy, and they went to Bad Company, and I was like, oh man, because in Philadelphia, Bad Company, Paulie has some splaining to do.
Aaron, you have any comments on this here matchup?
Well, unless they bring it up next week, one splaining they don't do is they don't mention why the tag team titles are vacant. They're just like, yeah, there's another tournament.
But
we'll start next week.
Oh my God, Aaron, you're right.
But here's the and I this is later in my notes. But
this was a month. This was a month of our show, but now we're just like, fuck, that didn't happen.
You're totally right. Like, are these the 24/7 ECW tag team titles? And they don't even use Rio de Janeiro. Get the fuck out of here. For 2 months, they've been trying to crown an ECW tag team champion.
And we sat through that god-awful fucking tournament. Yeah. And then they don't even tell you why we got to sit through another one.
And then like a week later, there's no ECW champions.
At the end of my notes, actually, there are ECW champions. At the end of my notes, I have here, why did we have to sit through that atrocious fucking tournament to have no champions? But then at the end, if you guys noticed, Joey Styles said next week on the show, ECW tag team champions Johnny Hotbody and Tony Stetson will be here. So somehow, some way, Johnny Hotbody and Tony Stetson are now the ECW tag team champions.
I know, but in this match, they said that there was
a tournament. Yeah,
there's a seed for the. What the fuck is going on?
I don't know what's going on. I don't know. Like, is it an NWA tag team championship tournament?
Yeah. Hang on here. Let me see if I might have this. All right. So, was the last tag team champions recognized in the ECW? Was it like Stetson and Hotbody or somebody like that?
It was Eddie Gilbert and Dark Patriot. So we know why they're gone. Yeah, we know why they're not champs.
Oh my God!
Like they won the tournament, but they don't just say, "Hey, Eddie and Dark Patriot fucking left." They're just like, "Oh, there's going to be a tournament." And then apparently Nate's saying that fucking Joey Styles is saying that Stetson and fucking Hotbody are the champ. It's like, what the
no explanation.
I'm wondering if they're talking about an NWA tag championship tournament.
That's what I think too. I think because
then say it. Say the NWA.
They're smarting me up. I don't know. I mean, maybe they're not smartened up yet. They just know that somehow they're trying to get themselves into Jim Crockett's, back pocket, and they're just doing whatever. And I get it, but Aaron, you're 100% right. Like, we had to sit through one tournament for shit, and then all of a sudden, a week later, there still ain't no tag champions. God, and there's an open seed. What the fuck are these seeds? Your garden stinks.
Could you plant a seed for a story here, please?
Yeah.
Tell me something.
The Walking Dead could never survive off your fucking tournament formula. Good God. That is funny because I never thought of it that way until Aaron brought it. I'm like, I did hear Joey say that, and I was like, well, it's probably for the NWA title. And then now that Nate, you said that it was Doug Gilbert and Eddie Gilbert were the champions. I'm like, yeah, now they're gone.
That explains everything, but still,
that unexplained and unexplains everything explains everything.
Our tag so far title for the show is Tag Team Confusion. That's the title for the show. So
Turmoil.
Tag Team Turmoil.
You better copyright it because Vince might fucking run a pay-per-view. Turmoil, I said.
Up next, we definitely a difference between the last shows we watched for sure. Because up next on the show, we are going to get a look at Sabu versus Taz for the first time in the ECW arena. And like I alluded to earlier, Sabu's initial manager here, it's eventually going to be Paulie, but Sabu's initial manager is Hunter Q. Robbins, and he has no control over this wild man, Sabu.
This is obviously Sabu's debut, and is it Taz's debut, or did we
On
already see
TV?
Taz?
No, we haven't seen Taz yet.
So it's both.
I don't know if he hasn't been on TV, but I know it's not his actual debut.
No, I mean I understand. I'm just saying, like, TV wise. So this is
Maybe,
like
probably.
both their debuts.
I'll tell you a funny story about Hunter Q and Sabu. I don't remember who told me. It could have been just one of the guys that I hung around with in the locker room, like back in the day, like the Gabes.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys that they were my age and my clique kind of guys. And the thing is that, remember how I always say, like, I'm kind of inadvertently responsible for getting Jericho a job? Well, I think Feinstein was the guy that somehow got the tape of Sabu to Paul. So Sabu wasn't very familiar with Paul wasn't very familiar with Sabu, other than what Rob gave him. So when he brought him in for that weekend, I don't know what Paul's deal was. Maybe he was going through the whole entire finalization about Eddie being gone and taking over, but he thought it would be cool to put him with Hunter, like give Hunter somebody that's halfway decent, until they had Sabu versus Taz.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think Paul said, "Oh, hell no."
Yeah, I want to attach myself to this guy.
That's exactly what happened. I don't know exactly who told me, but I'm 100% positive that I heard that story from somebody on the inside, that when Paul watched that match, he about flipped the fuck out. It was like, look at this fucking motherfucker, you know? And like, I wrote down
we need to get Hunter Q. We need to get Hunter Q albatross around his neck. Yeah.
Get him as far from him as possible. That's 100% shoot. And I said, I don't know how Taz. I mean, I don't think I'd met Taz yet, really officially, like, you know, hung out with him. But it was their first meeting, I'm assuming. And Sabu he pulled out. He did every spot.
Yeah.
He did all of them. You know, I mean, he was like, all right, it shouldn't have even been an audition. Yeah, they already showed your Japan highlight reel, didn't they?
Yeah.
Did they ever show that shit?
Wait, no, not that we've seen so far. I know they show Japanese highlights from him at some point, but
the one where he about kills Luther.
Yeah, no, but we haven't seen that yet on ECW. But I know they show it at some point because I remember seeing it. And I wouldn't have seen it otherwise.
You know who that is, right? The guy that he kills.
That's isn't that damn?
It's Luther from AEW.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jericho's buddy, right?
Yeah, dude. When he does that, when he puts him on that table like 20 feet away from the top rope, and does that moonsault from the thing, and all he does is hit him in the face with his knee, like, and the table just tumbles over. He didn't even like fall through it. Yeah. I used to watch them matches all the time. Like, somebody was asking me who the hell was Luther. You know, I was like, who is this guy? And I was like, go back and watch how Sabu kills him in fucking FNW. that was a great introduction. In my opinion, to both guys. Sabu looked great. Like, I hear this shit all the time with new fans when they watch these shows. And they review them, and they talk about how some of these matches are sloppy. They see, like, not necessarily blown spots, but just stuff looks awkward.
And that's
how it's supposed to look.
Yeah, I was about to say they don't realize kind of what we talked about.
The Sabu character wouldn't be crisp, you know.
But no, and
everything he did wouldn't be perfect because he's fucking insane. Like, he's just throwing his body at you, so he shouldn't land perfectly.
He hits like 60% of his stuff. Like, which is just a good enough high percentage that it's worth him doing it for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Like, that first moonsault he hits fucking insane. Like, it is insane. Like, he just moonsaults the chairs, basically. It's fucking nuts.
I just would love to have seen the look on Paul's face, because Sabu moves at 100 miles an hour. Like, in that time period, he works fast. There is no time to like register and like let it get in, because he's already thinking like, how am I going to fuck this guy up now? Like, I'm going to, do something else big, which I don't think there's anything wrong with it. That's the formula that got him to where he's been. you know. Fuck.
And plus, if you're just constantly moving, and you said he hit 60% of his shit, nobody's gonna notice the 40% he didn't hit because the shit's just moving.
I don't know. I disagree about that because when he fucking miss shit, he can miss shit pretty fucking spectacularly. But yeah, you understand what I mean, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and it's kind of what we alluded to, like I said last week or the week before. At this time, you obviously said newer fans watching it. At this time, if you were a pro wrestling fan like we were in the early 90s, something like this was unheard of in the United States on television, on wrestling television. And the newer fans, I guess, are used to, I hate to say it, but the ballet, everything's so crisp and clean. But at this time, in this era, in this time and place, this was like blow your mind kind of stuff.
Yeah. Could you imagine at a different time, a different world, that the internet was around during this? Like, but it wasn't, and this never happened yet. Right. And this was, could you imagine the reaction that would have happened on the internet if somebody was said, "Oh my God," saw that, whatever. What do you think the rating? I mean, how many people do you think were watching that show in Philadelphia? I mean, maybe 20,000?
Possibly, yeah.
25, whatever. That they get on the internet and start talking about, "Oh my God, did you see Sabu?" How big of a deal that would have been then. Mm-hmm. If we would have had that outlet. It was a great showcase for Sabu. Great showcase for Sabu, and it didn't do anything bad for Taz.
No, because
Taz looked like a guy who could stand his ground.
Yeah, he plants his ass with some suplexes.
Yeah, I put in that double underhook suplex that he hit Sabu with is fucking crazy,
gnarly. Yeah.
Yeah,
but then his big ass breaks the table.
Oh, geez.
Without even going through it.
It's a good thing that I wasn't friends with Taz then. Because he would get that fucking fat ass joke. But he couldn't even lay on the table for Sabu. I think Bigelow laid on the table for Sabu. I know Bubba did.
And then the only thing that was like, when I watched it, I was like, "What the fuck was that?" Was that weird ass Hudakan, that weird ass Hudakan Rana spot they did, where like Sabu went for it, but then like Taz
Frankensteiner?
Yeah.
All right, that's what I wrote it down as, the Frankensteiner spot.
Yeah, but when he does it, and then like he goes to do it, and then Taz just like tumbles out like a little ball or whatever, and it's just like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah. Joey tries to compensate for it and say that Sabu missed the Hurricane Rana, but I noticed that too. I wrote that down. Joey tries to cover for it, but it was obviously a little bit of a botch there. But
I thought that he held it. I mean, I would have. You could have told me that Taz held the rope, because I mean, the way that Sabu just kind of went so fast over top of him like that, you could have believed the fact that he may have grabbed the top rope or whatever. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was pretty bad. But that's a Sabu match.
Yeah.
And then wasn't it the Taz flip was next, where he fucking hits him in the back with his heel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that was probably the stiffest spot in the whole entire match. God, he hits him. What did he do it from the middle rope or something or whatever?
It was middle rope, and he does like a cannonball kind of thing, and yeah, like you said, just cracks him right in the back of the head of the neck.
God,
and, yeah. I wrote Taz flip off the top rope. Oof. That's what I wrote, because it looked pretty stiff, unintentionally stiff, but stiff nonetheless.
Yeah, dude, I hit him right in a spot of your body that does not like to get hit directly. Mm-hmm. It was almost like a liver punch, or oh my God. And then Sabu's not shy about selling. Mm-hmm. When that shit happens, I don't know if it's happened yet, but we've already seen. We'll see Sabu like when he banged his foot on the railing or whatever, and then he grabs his ankle. Like, Sabu gets that art. He gets the art of selling, and it makes him look that much stronger. Mm-hmm. When he's just like, he's grabbing his back, he's grabbing his foot, he's back of his head is grabbing his ear.
And not only that,
other people are holding body parts for him.
Not only that, but it makes him look more dangerous because
exactly
he's showing you how much in pain he is. But hey, look at this! 30 seconds later, he's flying off the top rope again, And then when he hits the mat, he's selling the injury again. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Fantastic work.
Yeah, great opening match. And like I said, if we would have had the internet then and the world would have been different, that would have been something that would have blew the internet up.
Mm-hmm. Sabu winds up winning the match with a with a moonsault from the top. Anything else on the match, Aaron?
I just thought it was fucking awesome. Like, that's my note. That was fucking awesome.
This might be the first thing that we've reviewed one of these shows and wrote down that something was fucking awesome.
I actually gave the show a grade.
Hey, there you go.
It's out of fucking not even speaking about purgatory anymore.
We come back from the break and they want to continue. Smart move to show us how crazy Sabu is. So they come back from the break and Sabu is just moonsaulting the table. There's nobody else around. He's chased off the fans. He's chased off his opponent. Hell, he's chased off his shitty manager. He's just fighting the table. And yeah. What an awesome visual.
Hunter PQ PQ Robinson. Woo. he powdered. And it's funny because didn't he even yell leave, get out of here or something?
Yes, something like that. Yeah,
that's sad. I bet you. I wonder if Paulie sent somebody down there to tell him, get that guy out of here.
You're done. Yeah,
next week, Hunter should be like, I know I said I was going to manage Sabu, but he fucking crazy. I don't have time for that.
That's funny because after he says he's out of there, I'm thinking in real time. Paulie's sitting in the back watching this. I wonder if he was, because he's watching it on TV. I wonder if he realized that I want this guy nowhere near fucking Hunter Q. Robbins.
Yeah.
And he didn't phone somebody on the head gimmick and go, tell Hunter Q to get the fuck out of there.
Oh, get the fuck out of there. He can manage Stetson and Hot Body, but he's not managing
somewhere else.
Yeah. We get a Rockin' Rebel promo next on his attack on Sal Balomo.
Who you waiting for to talk first?
Was what it was.
Yes, it was.
The whole rest of the whole whatever next couple segments body of this show is what stuff that shouldn't have been on the show. It's you know what I mean? This is the whole they have the two big things. Sabu and Taz, and of course they have Snuka and Funk in the cage. But whatever time they had to fill is with these motherfuckers.
Yeah. It's like going to a Pink Floyd concert and 4 songs in they play Comfortably Numb, and then the rest of the show they play a bunch of album tracks that you've never heard before. Yeah. And that's not hating on those album tracks. I'm just saying you don't play your big hit, 4 songs into the show.
It's like Kiss opening up with Beth.
Yeah.
I love how Bully uses the Kiss analogy for wrestling when it comes to the old guys.
Mm-hmm.
Play the hits.
Yeah.
And this wasn't a hit. I thought Sabu Taz started that. That was a hit.
No, because now we have Sandman versus Metal Maniac. And
I don't know what to say.
There's not much to say. I know they mentioned that hey kids, you can call the ECW hotline to wish Sal Balomo to get well. All the kids out there.
In Philadelphia.
All you kids in Philadelphia that are big fans of Sal.
I wonder how many hate calls he got. Don't call anymore. The switchboard is flooded with hate calls.
You know what I thought about when I was watching this match? And I know it'll be obvious. It's obviously going to be a different perspective for Chad, because by this point you were already working in the ring and you were in ECW and had been around that area. But here in Ohio, I was what I would be 14, 15 at this point. I had seen Metal Maniac in the magazines, okay? Ooh. But I'd never actually seen Metal Maniac. I just seen pictures of him in the magazines, and he'd be in the PWI 500 or whatever. And I always thought that guy looks cool. And then I see him, and I'm like, that guy's not so cool.
Yeah, that's Snuka's boy, man.
Snuka's bag, man. Yeah,
that's why he's there, and yeah. I mean, I like Jeff. I don't know. I've probably already said it on the show. We probably seen Jeff before, right?
Yeah,
we have. Yeah, so I probably already said it. Well, you know how much I like Jeff. He's just not like a guy like us when it comes to the business. Not really an historian. Kind of guy. But that match, I don't know. Sandman at this time, he just does stuff that he shouldn't be doing. Like
his fantastic drop kick. Here's another fantastic drop kick.
That.
Well, he even brings it up.
He has to start seeing the fact that Hack can't work. Like he can work psychology wise, but he can't be doing. He's not a surfing guy.
Paulie's already even knocking the outfit. Like he's like, oh, we know he was at the beach because he's still wearing his wetsuit. Like he's already mocking how Sandman looks. So you can already tell that Paulie's just like, yeah, we got to do something else with this guy.
we got to figure something out with this guy.
It's time to fish or cut bait. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree because with Paulie being designated to doing promos probably the next few weeks or whatever. When he's doing the shows because I think there was a change in the production companies as well. Like who's doing the shows and stuff like that. And actually no, I don't think so. I think it comes in November.
Yeah, I was gonna say they mentioned Matt Radico on this show.
I don't think it's until we did the Valley Forge shit that after that's when things change. But yeah, Paulie has to start looking at things with a magnifying glass and realizing, okay, I got this guy's money, but I got to make the best out of what he has, and then still bring in the guys that I need.
Mm-hmm.
And Sandman clearly was his number one project because I don't know who got over first, Dreamer or Sandman, but whatever, chicken egg,
Yeah, and like I said, and like you guys alluded to, Sandman just hasn't found himself yet in this.
No.
He's like Aaron said, that drop kick. He just throws himself into that drop kick, and then he does this.
That wasn't even the worst move of the match, though.
No, it wasn't.
That fucking side suplex, the fucking Metal Maniac tries to hit.
You stole my heat, motherfucker.
Oh, goddamn. That's fucking
you both
terrible.
Stole my heat.
Because I wrote smallest height on a side suplex ever.
Well, you stole Joey Styles' heat because you know what he called it?
I didn't even catch that.
He called it a quick side suplex.
I was writing my note. I must not have heard him say it because I was like, oh, that sucked.
At least he acknowledged it. Backhandedly, he acknowledged it.
That wouldn't have broken a dozen eggs.
That was fucking bad.
Yeah, that was anyway, whatever.
Sandman wins this thing with a.
I actually wrote doozy. Describing it as a match.
Sandman wins this thing with a clothesline, a wild clothesline off the top rope.
Stiff, by the way.
Very stiff. And then we roll into some more doozy. Chris Michaels doing a terrible Scooby-Doo impression. I don't know.
No, it's not.
He's trying to do a terrible Bullwinkle impersonation. He's not trying to do a terrible one. He's attempting to do a good Bullwinkle impersonation, but it's fucking terrible.
Well, it was so bad I thought it was Scooby-Doo.
No. So my notes is Chris Michaels attempts to do a Bullwinkle impersonation. Shut the fuck up and go home, Chris Michaels. Nobody wants you here.
All right. Okay. Here's what I initially thought. Because I didn't write as many notes down as I normally do because there wasn't anything to beat up, right? Not a whole lot bad, a few things. I think, all right, we got to this part of the show where it's the maniac, ha ha ha, chuckle. Right. I figure the last couple of weeks we've, I don't want to say we've had problems getting to an hour with content, but sometimes we've been going through the shows a little faster because they've been harder to dissect. Where it's bad or terrible stuff. I was getting ready to say, look, I don't know how long you want to go for the show, but unless you want to just do like 40 minutes on Chris Michaels being Rocky, the Rocky Bullwinkle thing, because what the fuck was that? When was that done? Why was that done? And whoever said, hey, Chris, did somebody go, hey, Chris Michaels? Do you do impressions?
Somebody told me you do a fantastic Bullwinkle.
I mean, could you imagine if that's how John Cena got? Because Stephanie found out that he could rap, and then he rapped in front of Stephanie, and then she loved it and told him to rap. Could you imagine if somebody said, "Hey, Stephanie, did you ever hear John Cena do a Bullwinkle impression?" I mean, that was
they were like, "Hey, Chris, we heard you do a great Bullwinkle," so he did it, and then he got done with it, and they were like, "What was that?" And he goes, "Oh no, I do a fantastic Bachwinkle, not a Bullwinkle."
I mean, I'm looking at the clock. We're doing pretty good on time, but I mean, if you want to, we can stretch this bit out. I mean, because once we get into the Snuka fuck, what the fuck are you going to say about that? I mean, you're not going to say anything bad about it. It's going to be all positive, and nobody spends a lot of time saying positive things.
Chris Michaels him and Hunter Q need to hit the road together. Hunter Q's probably the one that says he does a hell of a Bullwinkle.
Yeah. Yeah. How did somebody find out about this? That's like one of them. That's the Dark Side of the Ring thing. Who in ECW found out that Sir Christopher Michaels does a great Bullwinkle impression?
And then they were completely wrong and still put it on TV.
I mean, you talk about needing time to fill.
Now, the gist of for those of you that are not watching the shows as we do, the gist of the thing was I think they were trying to take shots, obviously, at WCW and WWF, because at the end of the promo, it says ECW, this is not a cartoon, or something to that effect. But totally the wrong guy to do this with.
The wrong guy to do anything with. He's the wrong guy to take a lunch order. He's the wrong guy to go pick up your laundry. He's the wrong guy to walk your dog. He's the wrong guy to get your mail if you go on vacation. He's the wrong guy. What the fuck? This is gonna make me. I want to stay up late tonight thinking about how did this happen? Because I'm gonna try to go back and think of everybody that I knew back then and go, who fucking thought this was a good idea?
I love who was behind the camera and was like, "That's the one. Let's do it."
Yeah, and the guy and whoever the producer is, Paul, or whoever's doing it's going like to give him. Come on. Go ahead. Keep going. All right. Wrap it up. What the fuck?
I love the fact that Chad just gave Chris Michaels the gimmick he never knew he needed. Chris, the wrong guy, Michaels.
Yeah.
He's the wrong guy for everything. That's a great gimmick.
Yeah, he totally is. You're looking for somebody? If somebody's a bounty on somebody, you go to Chris Michaels. And he's like, hey, I mean, are you interested in collecting a $10,000 bounty on Bob Armstrong? No, I'm the wrong guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I'm not your guy. I'm the wrong guy. No, you don't want to put your faith in me at all.
But I do a great Bullwinkle impression. That's absurd. I mean, God, I'd love to figure this out. Keep in mind, guys, we're talking about ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, and they got a guy doing a Rocky Bullwinkle impersonation on their television.
And not 20 minutes ago, we just watched Sabu versus Taz.
Exactly.
Next week, I wonder if he'll bust out his Heathcliff.
You almost want to credit Paul's fucking legitimacy of running a TV show. Whatever.
You think my Bullwinkle's great? You should hear Mom of Gil and Gorilla, guys. It's fantastic.
John Gillum does a great Helen Keller. Get the fuck out of here!
I heard Johnny Hotbody can rock a Mr. Magoo.
Oh my god, it's insane how this ever saw the light of day. I did a promo one time with Joey Styles. Paul made me stay all the time for promo class at the end of the night, and it was like 3:00 in the morning. And one day he tells me to stick around. And basically, he wanted me to watch and see how everything went,
Right.
And he finally calls me up, and he wants to do a gimmick with me and Joey Styles because I had glasses before I had laser surgery. And we're up there, and Joey Styles is like, Chad Austin, ECW's resident underdog. How it looks like you've been working out. And then he goes, I've been working out myself. And I looked at him. You remember the Jerky Boys?
Oh, yeah.
And I looked at him and I went, I'm very proud of you. And the whole entire locker room just erupted in laughter because it was the Jerky Boys time thing. no chance it was going to air because Joey laughed. And then when we get to that Valley Forge show, which is coming up, Paul made a blooper reel. And that made the blooper reel. That was my one interview backstage at ECW, and that was it. It didn't make TV, but it made the blooper reel for the bus that we rode into the Valley Forge.
It popped the locker room, and that's what matters.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, hey, I'm very proud of you. What are you going to say? I mean, hey, look, Paul, I know that wasn't much, but you don't want to hear me do Bullwinkle. Chris, I'm the wrong guy.
Hey, Chris Michael's like, excuse me? Hey, I heard a rumor somebody out here is doing Bullwinkle. Yeah. Who's trying to scoop my heat? That's my gimmick, bro.
It's not me. I was like, Paul, it's not me.
Don't make me let my hair down.
I do Turkey Boys.
The main event of this show.
All right, so we basically caught up on time.
We just did like 12 minutes. We just did like 12 minutes on that. That's great.
It's the most time that Chris Michaels has gotten spotlight that he's in his whole career.
I hope he's a listener. I hope he's a listener, and he's sitting in this room ashamed.
Now I think if it was me, I'd pop over it.
I hope he's
somebody's talking about it.
I hope he's sitting in his YMCA room, just sad.
I don't think Chris Michaels is living in a YMCA. I don't. He's living with Wormser, Skolnick, Takashi, Booger. He's living in that house. All right, can we get into some serious stuff now?
Coming back to the show, the next match is for the ECW World Television title. Our reigning champion, Superfly Jimmy Snuka, against the legendary Terry Funk in a steel cage match with my least favorite steel cage rule. But,
put it up?
No, I've never been a fan of the escape the cage rule. I don't know. That's just me.
Well, you know why they do that, right?
So that nobody has to take a pin.
Yeah, they can gimmick the finish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's an easy way out, and especially if you're filming it,
right?
You know, it's not nobody's gonna be able to air it later and show it later on. Yeah, it's stupid, but you gotta understand that's just you want to see a good one. Have you ever seen the Bruno Zbyszko angle? You know,
I've seen the angle. Yeah, I've seen the angle.
Okay, have you ever seen the Payday? No. Well, it's great. It's a cage match. And the WWF always had the escape the cage was their way out. Well, you know how a cage match is, you don't want to say 50-50, as far as give and take. But Bruno, it was 95-5, where Bruno walked into the cage. He beat the shit out of Zbyszko. Zbyszko got no offense. He ran him from cage to cage, and everything Bruno did. I mean, he only did it like a handful of times, but it was so over because you fucking turned on Bruno. And when he was finally done beating on Zbyszko, I mean, he beat the shit out of Zbyszko, right? He literally Zbyszko laying there on the ground. It was a great finish. And if it would have been on like a pay-per-view where more people could have saw it, it's a tremendous finish, the visual to finish, where Bruno just literally tells the guy to open the fucking door, and he starts walking out. Like there wasn't that big one climatic spot where the guy grabs his ankle. No, Bruno beat the shit out of the guy, left him laying,
walked out of the cage.
Walked out of the cage. And what was cool about it was Zbyszko was trying to crawl as Bruno was walking. You see Larry trying to crawl, but Bruno knew that he was already, I beat the fuck out of this guy. I'm out of here. I proved my point. And the crowd went banana, but after that time, the rest of the stuff kind of fell a little flat as far as how they did it. The Snuka Morocco. Snuka Morocco at the Garden. What do you remember about that match?
The splash.
Yeah. Who won that match?
Morocco won, didn't he?
Morocco won.
Yeah.
How'd they do it? Snuka
Then he
headbutted
fell out the door.
Morocco when he was calling for the cage door to be open.
And he fell out the door.
He fell out the door. It's a way to make Snuka not, take the heat, and he looks strong, and it's like, oh my God, he beat the shit out of Morocco, and everybody went home probably thinking that Snuka still probably won, because of the splash,
Yeah, because you remember the moment, yeah.
I don't think that was Paul. I think Paul would have rather had a pinfall in that match, but I don't think that match called for a pinfall. To tell you the truth, I think the match called for the cage to be completely set up, not setting it up during the match. What was that one section that he kept finagling with?
Yeah,
with the pole, right? What was that all about?
Snuka took that. I think it was when Snuka threw funk into it, like the cage, like that part of it turned into look like an A. It was coming apart at the seams.
And then he break the ring rope.
Yeah, they broke the rope immediately. Like Snuka sent funk into the turnbuckle, and the wire and the rope broke.
It isn't the wire. That's not true. That could have been the early. Hey, I don't know what the fuck this is. Say something thing. It wasn't the wire and the rope is not going to break. Because if the wire and the rope would have broke, the whole entire rope would have looked like the Tony Danza boxing ring in Taxi in Madison Square Garden. It would have been like a big U. That's how it would have looked. Something broke, and my guess it would have been the undercarriage.
Okay.
The cable underneath broke, or one side broke, because there's a cable connected to all four sides that meet in the middle. It wasn't the one in the middle. Because remember when the ring broke a few weeks ago
with Stan Hansen?
Remember that?
Yeah.
Well, that was the thing in the middle. The rope broke. No, it wasn't even that. When the buckles come in like this, when it breaks, it's when the union in the middle breaks. Because all four corners have a cable that meet in the middle, and you can break them individually, but you break that thing in the middle, that's when the ring sags in and shit. So I don't know what the fuck broke, but I know that cage, they were just dicking around with that cage out there. And
during the whole match.
Could you imagine if Funk would have threw Snuka into that portion of the cage while the fucking idiots were still putting it up? Jesus. I don't know. Aaron, what did you think about this cage match? I'd love to hear your take on it.
I thought it was all right, and I liked. I thought like having the ear get drug across the cage was different. Like instead of just doing the forehead, they were doing the ear, and Styles like brings up Yukon Eric and Killer Kowalski, and I just thought this was a really good match, and it was entertaining. And apparently, somebody in ECW invented the selfie stick, because they had some big ass stick with like a camera at the end of it. Like I don't even know if they ever used any of the angle from it, but I
think they were using it to put the cage together. I saw it and I was like, what the hell is that goddamn pole that guy's using out there?
I thought it had a camera on it. I didn't know what the fuck it was. But I enjoyed it, and Paulie tried to explain for some reason the reason he wasn't with Snuka was due to the NWA now being the parent company of ECW, that all of his manager licenses need to be reviewed, and that was kind of
what the fuck kind of hillbilly fucking backwoods fucking explanation? What the hell is that?
Yeah. Why not just say, look, all my dudes are gone. Like,
yeah,
we don't want Morocco around anymore, and the Gilberts bid it. Like, what? Just say it.
I mean, at this point, you can say you fired Eddie and Doug. You can say you fired Eddie and Doug, but nothing happened with Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, it was just.
But like you said, he's not coming back, right?
He's like, I just watched that Sabu guy, and I've decided I want to manage him now.
Yeah,
no more Jimmy Snuka.
Exactly.
I'm going to bounce the Hawaiians and the Hillbillies, and I'm going to move into managing Sabu.
I thought it was a great. I thought it was a great cage match for another company, not for ECW.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, granted, we don't want to give them everything at one time, and just give them the full buffet. They did enough. And they probably didn't want Funk to get color because he probably had to work again.
Yeah,
you know.
so that's why. And they did a good job focusing on the ear, and I thought it was cool that once he saw the blood coming out of his ear, that's when he started to make his comeback. That was a neat spot, and just in general,
it was fine.
I agree with you guys. I enjoyed the match. I thought it was good,
especially for this time frame.
Yeah, and it's not the end of Snuka yet, but we're getting close to the end of Snuka in ECW.
Yeah, he's still got to work Dreamer.
And you.
Oh, Jesus. Always. I'd rather watch him work Dreamer.
And as Terry Funk wins this match, he wins the TV title from Jimmy Snuka. And then after the match, we go to an interview with Terry Funk and Joey Styles where Terry puts over ECW, which is the smartest possible move you can make. The legendary Terry Funk is putting over our company. Let's play this everywhere we can possibly play it.
Yeah, totally agreed. I mean, it's amazing to me that how Funk can just when they say turn it on, like he could start out saying nothing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, he's going somewhere with this. You know, he's talking about this is like his last stand. Oh, this is my last stand and everything. Well, goddamn, he wrestled well into the fucking late 90s. You know, even later than that, you know. But he made you believe that this was where he was going to retire at.
And usually when somebody rambles, it takes you out of it. But Terry Funk, I could listen to Terry Funk ramble for fucking hours.
It actually makes sense.
Yeah, it's like I'm talking to my fucking cool uncle or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's yeah.
And he also has, and you know, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think that this is something that Chris Jericho took from Terry Funk. Is Terry also knows how to speak at a cadence where he brings it down to where you have to listen. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
It's
like
educational.
Yes.
It sounds like you're learning something.
And Jericho would do that when he was, especially during that like 08 run as a heel. I don't want to get off in the weeds about Jericho, but just bringing it makes you pay attention, even though they're quieter. They're not screaming. They're not yelling. They're
explaining.
It's different. And it's different.
I could listen to Terry Funk read a cookbook. Like just tell me how to make chicken fried steak or fucking
read the ingredients in ramen noodles.
Yeah. Tell me how to do that.
It's my last flavor packet.
I don't think much thought goes into it.
He's just natural. Just so
I'm not even sure that Paul even says like, give me bullet. I don't get any bullet points. He's like, I just need a promo. How long? I don't know, 42 seconds or whatever.
You got it, Paulie.
Yeah, it's kind of like how like it's not the same thing, but it's like how Cornette said that like Bob Armstrong was for Smoky Mountain. Like look at Bob Armstrong and be like, you got a minute. And then he'd just go out there and do it, and then look at him and be like, all right, we don't got to do another one. It doesn't get any better than that. And then he just walk back away and smoke a cigarette.
That's all you need to say.
Yeah.
After Terry's promo, Paulie does a segment where he's trying to get to talk to Jimmy Snuka. And can't get into the dressing room.
I always hate
that.
Yeah, but I always hated when they like try to do the door thing in wrestling, like where they walk in and then they slam the door. It always looks cheesy to me, but
you know where that's at, right? You all know where that's at. That the door, it's in the studio. It's like it's like one of the bathroom doors. They just put the fucking dressing room sign on it. Like now we're going to see Public Enemy. Remember the infamous Public Enemy coming out of? They were doing a interview in the cellar kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's the door. That's the cellar to the studio. There's other rooms in that studio when they do the TV ad. Paul just slaps on a fucking piece of sticker that says dressing room on it. Unbelievable. I laughed. I looked at Jess and I said, it's funny. And I told her, I was like, this is not at the arena.
Now that we know that Paulie was trying to go in the shitter while Jimmy Snuka was there, it's absolutely deserved that he got the door slammed in his face.
Yeah.
And then Joey Styles is outside a raucous party for Terry Funk. I love that. Woo! Yeah, I love all the sound effects and the throwing the paper at him, and
he's all ties down shit. Yeah, he's like, I'm fucked up. This is a good ass party.
As soon as I saw Joey Styles' tie a little undone, I said, "Oh my God, they're going to recreate a party celebration angle, like a spot where he's celebrating." Because you don't see anybody else.
Yeah.
And then like Jess, she loves when she gets her straws at the bar. She loves to blow them at me, the paper. And when they did that, I was like, "Oh my God, this is so cheap, right? It's so cheesy." And then all of a sudden, you see somebody's hand come in the picture and pour champagne on Joey Styles, and I'm like, "That's fucking Paul." Like,
well, it's Paul going yeehaw. You can tell it's Paul doing his yeehaw deal. You can tell it's him.
It was so great that I didn't even give a shit that it was awful.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought it was a good. I looked at it like a good try.
Yeah,
great try to make somebody that doesn't know enough believe that Joey Styles is outside. Like literally Terry Funk, after he just cut a promo talking about this is his last run, he's going to retire in the ECW, and all of a sudden now he's drinking in the back with the boys, listening to wailing. I loved it. I literally wrote, I loved it. It's so bad that I'm going to end up putting this on a compilation somewhere.
And it's not Cabrini College bad. It's like you said, it's so bad, it's good. Yeah, it's great bad. And this is also the segment where Joey mentions, like I said, that Johnny Hotbody and Tony Stetson are our ECW tag team champions. So
yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still celebrating the Terry Funk win.
Now that we've come to the end of this show, Chad, you said you actually had a grade this week.
Yeah, I actually did. I thought it was a really good show for what this time period of ECW is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a humongous upgrade from the previous few months, and from a production value wise thing to the match quality of what they're putting on TV, and I really enjoyed it. Like I went and got a beer. I ordered a pizza during the Sir Michaels thing and the Sandman match and all that other crap. And I actually changed my oil during the Sandman Belomo or whatever Maniac match. But I gave it a solid D-.
And that's huge compared to what it's been ranking. I really didn't give it a grade, I guess. I put down that this is already a markedly different product. It's already heading in a much better direction. The show did not give me near as many things to roll my eyes to. Like
it gave us something we roll about 12 minutes to.
The Sandman Metal Maniac / Chris Michaels block of the show. I'm glad they put it all together in a nice little bow for us to critique.
You know what? I'm glad you said that because you're 100% right. Why not tie up that part of the show when you've already seen what you've seen and you've already kind of announced what the main event is?
Mm-hmm.
You have, 18, 20, 22 minutes to get your other shit in.
Yeah. Yeah, and they did. They just put they put the poo in the middle there, and we got through it, though. And, Aaron, what did you think?
I just thought it was a good show altogether. Obviously, if you take out Metal Maniac and Chris Michaels, but at least it gave you something to fucking make fun of.
Well, Aaron, if you took out Chris Michaels, we wouldn't have about half of this fucking show.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like garbage serves its purpose. You need garbage in life, and you can also just by Public Enemy match, and Paulie putting them and trying to tell their story in that match, and the Sabu, Taz, and then the Steel Cage match. You can see the changes coming, and this felt like the first show we've watched that actually felt like an ECW show.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly, 100%. Yeah, I agree.
Like you can see the good shit's coming. You know what I mean? Like, okay, that was drastically different than anything we've seen so far.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree. This was like I already went off on my tangent about, but next week's show has some. We said Bad Breed earlier. They're on here, Chad. Next week's show.
Well, then I'm on.
We have Don Morocco, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, and Kevin Sullivan facing Terry Funk, JT Smith, and Abdullah the Butcher. There's a team in a wild 6-man tag team match. A special feature looking at the debut of Sabu, which we've already seen. Malia Hosaka faces Molly McShane.
My girl Malia.
The Bad
Shout
Breed.
out to Malia Hosaka. If you don't follow her on Facebook, she's like one of them like people that if you follow them on Twitter, they're worth following.
I might have to check that out.
She's worth following on Facebook.
The Bad Company makes their debut against the Bad Breed. So there you go. The Bad Breed and the Bad Company on the same match, making their apparent debuts.
So I wonder if they take that match after me. And and rearrange where they aired that. Because I thought I was, as far as I know, I was in the first match of Axel and Ian's, but maybe I'm wrong. I'll find out if it looks like. I'll depend on what it looks like to me. How it appears.
And then we have the Rockin' Rebel versus Don E. Allen, and that is our lineup for next week's show. This October the 12th, 1993. I really enjoyed this show. I mean, much more than like we said, than the shows we've watched prior. And you can see the change happening and the good things coming. And of course, good things coming. It'll be Chad Austin making an appearance in ECW.
I can't wait to beat up this guy. This ham bone.
I would like to encourage anyone that's listening to the show that is not already a member of our Facebook group, please do join the group. Aaron is doing the Best of the Best tournament, the ECW.
Yes.
We just lost Hervé Renesto in the tournament.
Yeah, the Renesto revolution ended.
How could these people not even play along with this?
No, I was like fucking mad. I was like, really?
Yeah, like
really?
They couldn't even Spike Dudley this, or Daniel Bryan. Get behind it. Come on.
Scott Levy didn't need the win. Give me a break.
Yeah.
But more fun things.
Lord knows he's got the money to eat. Look at him. He's good.
Yeah.
Aaron's giving away some free stuff. Also, you can follow us on Twitter as well. Just any support for the show that any of you give, we really appreciate it, and we're having a blast doing the show week after week. And
I'm looking forward to
and better.
I'm looking forward to next week and hearing Chris Michaels' Top Cat impersonation.
Look, we're already over time. We ain't got time to go back and start making Chris Michaels jokes.
No more filler, Aaron. No more filler.
I mean, because if I wanted to book it, I'd have my come out there and go, "Hey, this is Chris Michaels in ECW," and I get no respect out here. Let me tell you, nobody. I just don't. We ain't got time for that.
At the end of the show, we're gonna have Chris Michaels go beep 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 beep. That's all, folks.
Yeah, we're already way over. So.
Thank you all for joining us this week on Reliving the Extreme. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time around. Reliving the Extreme is a production of Maxing Out Media. All rights reserved.